at WWDC 2018 in San Jose. I'm Scott Stein.
I'm Shara Tibken.
And we have been here for 2 hours plus. We've gotten to try AR demos. We've learned a lot. We have a lot of thoughts. Let's go with our top 10 takeaways from the show.
It was all about software, no hardware whatsoever. We saw a lot of updates to iOS. All of Apple's various operating systems got updates.
2, ARKit. There was a lot of AR discussion, particularly multiplayer, something that Google had discussed at I.O. Here, the idea is that anyone, maybe up to thousands of people, could start playing in the cloud or locally, and that's a pretty big development. Plus, there's a common platform file type that's going to be developed with Pixar that could open up AR in all sorts of places.
Apple's made new software to help us kind of put our devices down instead of checking them all the time. This will let parents monitor what their kids are doing. You could set up alerts to tell yourself, hey, you've been using Facebook too long, basically to kind of help us combat this phone addiction that we all seem to have.
There were a lot of watchOS updates, but not necessarily the ones that I was looking for, particularly no watch face store and no sleep tracking, although there is a walkie-talkie mode, which seems pretty useful, and there are some new fitness modes, and there is a new Pride watch face, and there's a lot of little incremental things, but for Apple Watch, it was kind of a little bit of a quieter note.
One of the really big announcements is they reiterated again, iOS and macOS is not merging. They're going to stay separate. But starting next year, iOS apps, so iPhone, iPad apps, will be able to run on Macs. We already saw that with a few apps that are going to be coming later this year. The News app, Stocks, various things that they've already made of their own that were just on your phone, just on your iPad. Now you can get it on your computer.
There's Siri shortcuts, which seems to be Apple's way of trying to have Siri do more things fast for apps. So basically, apps have to hook into this, and you have to knit that in. And then once you have a shortcut, then you could use the Shortcuts app to bundle a bunch of those and be able to create all sorts of other ways you could access stuff with Siri and create your own little vocal cues.
So a lot of the features this year were more about performance, more about kind of like little nitpicky things as opposed to huge, massive changes. This is good news for people who have old iPhones. Apple spent a lot of time trying to make sure that your iPhone 5S or whatever older device you have is still going to be able to work really well with iOS 12 and work even better than it did with iOS 11.
Apple TV, the big announcement maybe was Dolby Atmos support to set that up with your speakers at home. As far as cable boxes, they're still promising the idea that it could replace cable boxes, but for very few cable providers at this point. Only one in the U.S. and I think 2 overseas. And there is going to be a zero sign-in way of automatically recognizing your broadband and connecting. But that, again, which providers are going to have that? The one sign-in also took a while to catch on.
Another thing that you'll see is with Animoji, you'll be able to stick out your tongue, which apparently is a big deal. And you can also make me emojis. So it's little animated heads, cartoons, emojis of yourself. So we saw this with Samsung with the new Galaxy S9. They came out with AR emoji. Those were really criticized because a lot of people felt it didn't look like them. So we'll see what the Apple ones look like. In the ones we saw, you look more cartoonish, but there's a lot more ways to customize them.
macOS did have a bunch of updates, even though it seemed like there wasn't necessarily going to be all that much. A few of those, macOS Mojave is going to have a dark mode, which actually sounds like something that would be great to have on iOS, but doesn't exist. And a way to take all that stuff on your desktop, all the clutter, and apparently organize it and find some sort of logic to the clutter. And then also the future of supporting, like you say, with iOS. And then a couple of key apps that are going to make their way over there too: Voice Memo, News, Stocks. Stocks has news, so then it's like a news within Stocks. So Stocks and news and Stocks.
I think that's all of the big stuff.
Oh, FaceTime.
Oh yeah,
FaceTime.
yeah.
How can we
FaceTime.
forget?
Yeah, you'll now be able to chat, have groups of up to 32 people in a FaceTime chat at the same time.
Yeah, FaceTime was one of the weirdest demos on stage because it was a mix of not just people, but also people with Animoji heads and a mix of avatars. So suddenly you had like people with realistic looking avatars and people with animated ones. And there was like an Animoji or Memoji, Tim Cook. So it's pretty hallucinatory. Maybe the future blend of AR and reality where we will not know the difference or something.
So that was what we saw at Apple's WWDC this year. No new devices here, lots of software. We're going to see more this fall.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of devices. We're expecting iPads and Macs and iPhones and watches. So stay tuned. Also, the public beta hitting at some point this summer.
Great. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thanks.